Hello, I am Jody Wolf. You're watching Expoz, June 26, 2015, 2:13 a.m. Birmingham. Topic: Judgment Weather Coming / Displaced Americans. Now, I mentioned on the last blog, I left off where the Weather Channel thought that there was a rain cloud above Albuquerque, and it turned out being locusts, the biggest outbreak in almost 30 years. And this is just recently. But God mentions that. He mentions the things that comes and comes and comes. But I also mentioned to you about displaced Americans, and I'm going to get to that in just a moment, and ghost cities. But there's other plagues that happened in the Pharaoh's day. There was one of frogs. Well, did you know Greece just finished up with a frog outbreak? It was bizarre. In Australia, these big poisonous frogs that's coming out of nowhere, and they're encroaching upon Sydney, and they're trying to stop them. Well, these are judgment type frogs. Anyway, America just might be the most Christian populated country on earth, and then, as I said earlier, turn their backs on God. So let's jump and see what it says about in Revelations chapter 8, verse 2, and then 8 and 9. The seven angels. The second angel sounded his trumpet, and a mountain-sized rock. Second angel blew his trumpet, and a mountain-sized rock hit the ocean. To be that big, it'd probably have to be either in the South Atlantic or the South Pacific. Either place would destroy a third of the ocean. That means all the fish. That means another thing I'll bring up. That means all the ships at sea, a third of them will be gone. And a third of the oceans will look like there's blood. The oil spill in the Gulf from BP oil. The satellite view shows it, but it shows it as red. It looks like someone poured blood in the oceans. That's what the oil looked like from the satellites. Can you imagine a giant asteroid or rock mountain hitting an ocean and disturbing the bottom, penetrating deep enough? And I mentioned in a blog months back of an abundant amount of oil found in shallow depths in the North Atlantic between here and in England. That was easy, quick, and it's the light, sweet crude. It's just laying there. Well, if you disturb it, that'll come to surface, and it will look like blood from the satellite. So this very well could be why a third of the seas turned to blood. A third of the seas, the fish in it died. A third of the seas, every ship on it went under. So it's biblical, like I said in Revelations chapter 2 and chapter 8, verse 2, and then 8 and 9. And so here's what I want to tell you about the ghost cities. If this volcano in Wyoming went up, it would either kill millions of Americans, 2/3, or these Americans would have to be displaced. I know I'm going to tell you something now that you're not going to believe, but I'm going to tell you where you can find it and read it for yourself. It happened. the United States, our government, went to Brazil, Australia, Argentina. I don't know why they went to South Africa to request their support in doing this, but they did. And South African news turned America down. Look up, South America said no, rejects Americans' $100 billion offer on April the 4th, 2014 to help build housing for displaced Americans. I didn't know that America was trying to find places outside of this country for housing for Americans that are displaced because of a super volcano blowing up. But there it is. It's in black and white. And now I can see and understand why there are so many ghost cities out there. And people, you see them all over the place. You type in ghost cities, you'll see them in China. You see them in Russia. You'll see them in South America. You'll see them in Africa. And people are asking, what are they for? But yet, here we are talking about the prisons that they're building in the West and all the caskets. You know what? Maybe the caskets are there to do two things: to take up the people that were killed by deadly diseases, as the Bible said it would, and or people that were killed by either this rock, this mountain that hit the ocean and absolutely swamped every piece of land in America and in England and that part of the world, and then Hawaii would disappear, and even in Japan. I mean, tsunamis, you're talking about 1,000-foot tsunamis. You're not talking about 30 or 40 or 100 foot. You're talking about 1,000-foot tsunamis. So the only thing I can't figure is why America would be building all these prisons out west and dotted around the country. It's supposed to be one here in Alabama, and then building up this army, unnamed army other than Jade Helm, when we're looking at something much more worse than Jade Helm, much deadlier than anything that Jade Helm could put together, because they would meet resistance 10 times their size. So Jade Helm may not be there to hurt. They may be there to help. We don't know. And I don't know if anyone else has come up with this or thought about this. I certainly didn't know it until I started putting two and two together after I found that South Africa received a request, and here's what America offered them. We will pay you $10 billion per year for the next 10 years if you will go and if you will build in Brazil, Australia, and in Argentina, if you will build enough cities to hold up to 2/3 of our population. South Africa said no. And I just looked it up right before I got on here, and there's not only once, there's the whole list of no's. I don't know, but that's true. Ghost cities, is that what they're really for? Even for a natural disaster somewhere else? To go to those cities? Could be. Jody Wolf Expoz.